funny story, and I'll tell you this right now. I remember I was sitting in catering, and Jim Ross came and sat down next to me. He goes, "Hey, kid, you know you're a talent. You can wrestle. You got some character, but we need to get you something that separates you, to makes you stand out." And I was like, "Okay." And he goes, "Let me think on it." All right. So then the next week, catering, Jared comes, sits down next to me again. He goes, "What if we do something like, remember old Iron Mike Sharpen had the forearm?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "But let's do something different. Like, you're finished the frog flush. Let's do a chest protector." And my initial thought was, okay, just nod, and walk away, and hopefully he forgets. Because I was like, no way, I'll be the laughing stock of the business. And I remember coming home and talking to my fiance at the time and telling her, I was like, "Baby, they want me to be Johnny Bench and wear a chest protector. People are going to laugh at me. And I did not want to do it at all. And my ex-wife, my fiance, she's my ex-wife now, but my ex-wife gave me the best advice that anyone outside the business ever gave me. She goes, "Try it, and if it fails, at least you tried it, and it failed. It might not have failed because of you, but if you turn it down, it'll fail because you said no, and you'll never know what would happen." And I was like, you know, you're right. At least I can give it a try. So the next week, I went back to TV and said, "All right, JR, let's do it." And they literally started building it like that next week. And that led to me getting, hurt by Dan Severn. And then 2 weeks later, I debuted in, I think it was Pittsburgh at Survivor Series, when I frog splashed Ken Shamrock in a match with Rocky with the chest protector on. And then, at first people still didn't get it. They didn't understand it. It really didn't become part of the consciousness until the DX parody of the Nation, when Road Dogg played me. And when he came out and he shook his head, he was wearing the chest protector, and he was overdoing me to the point where people were like, "No, he really doesn't do that." And 2 seconds later, I came out and people were like, "Oh, damn, he really does do that." And that's really the day everything started taking notice. So I tell Road Dogg to this day that I still owe him royalties because I'm still making money off the D'Lo Brown character because of how well he played me.
And what's great about that parody is, don't know, like, the behind-the-scenes aspect of it. Like, how much of that did you know going in that he was going to be doing that? Like, did you have any inkling, or only when you saw him kind of walk through the curtain?
No, because we were in the back giving pointers and stuff on things that we wouldn't say. And we didn't know verbiage per se, but I totally knew what he was going to look like when he went out there. And I kind of had a rough idea what he was going to do. So, people think that, to this day, well, the Nation was mad because they were shooting on us. There was no shooting on the Nation. We were just as much as part of helping them become us as they went out there doing it. So, I mean, to this day, I tell people I love it. It was one of the greatest things that, happened for my character, and it really put heat on the Nation DX rivalry.
And it is one of those things where a lot of fans definitely remember it, and which is great because they're almost like, oh, they thought that was real. So it almost adds to the allure of it. And almost, years later, people are like, wow, that was a really cool segment that, is so remembered throughout the history of time, especially being a big part of the Attitude Era.
Yeah, no, it was great TV. It was one of those segments that it's one of the better-known segments of Raw during that era. And like I said, it's 20 years later, and people still come to me and talk to me about it. Till this day, so I loved it. I loved it completely.
Now you mentioned obviously with the chest protector and the frog splash on Ken Shamrock at that one point, but using the frog splash and obviously it being the lowdown, there was a point where Jim Ross kind of jokingly but kind of seriously said that, I think Lawler said, "Who has a better frog splash, RVD or Eddie Guerrero?" And then Jim Ross goes, "D'Lo Brown." So it's funny, so when you kind of did that finisher, is it you kind of doing your own, or are you taking it a little bit maybe from Eddie or something?
Actually, I took it from Eddie's old partner when he was in Los Gringos Locos, Art Barr.
Yep.
And Art Barr did it just like that, and that was my way. I loved it as a kid, and when I got a chance to have a finish, I remember thinking to myself, well, I'm big, and no one my size is doing anything like that. So I was like, no one that my size is doing anything like that coming up top. Guys really my size didn't go up to the top rope at all. So I was like, let's try it. And I remember practicing it a few times, and I wanted to pay respect to Eddie and Art, but I didn't want it to look like Eddie's because Eddie's out there doing his. But it's an homage to Los Gringos Locos. And I even remember telling Eddie, I was like, I'm only doing this because I saw Art do it, and he smiled from ear to ear. And so, that's why I use that as a finish.
And obviously, I think that's the reason why Eddie uses it as a finish as well, his old partner.
That was the reason I used it, because it was his way of paying homage to his partner. But Eddie did it the Gainer style. I did it like Art Barr did, kind of literally like a frog.
Yes. You definitely have the most pronounced one, to me anyway. I mean, all are very good, but yours is definitely the most pronounced, especially for a guy, obviously, on the bigger side, so it's more impressive to see you do a move like that.
Well, that's why I wanted to do something I was always told, do something that's going to make you stand out. And, at the time, like I said, big guys didn't go to the top, so that's why I was like, okay, I'm athletic, let me start doing moonsaults and frog splashes and doing things up the top rope, and it made me stand out even more, because you didn't expect a guy who was, over 300 pounds to be doing those kind of athletic things. So that was where I tried to make my niche.